Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Upon Further Review, your number one source for all things high school football in Northeast Indiana and primarily the Summit Athletic Conference. Another great weekend of sectional finals this past Friday, and a lot of really good games, some surprises like there always is, and then there's some that you just think that they're on a mission to get themselves in a position to win a state title. Alongside Eric Dutkovich, I'm the coach Shannon Griffith, and welcome to those of you joining us on any format that you choose to do, as well as 1380 The Fan 100.9 FM, the station that you hear all of us on the Parkview Sports Medicine pregame show, as well as the Midwest Box Breaks Game of the Week. And we're excited, dude. We're getting into the regionals now. We saw a really good game from Carroll and Snyder, but now we're kind of in that nitty-gritty time where the numbers are starting to really dwindle in and across the state as well as the area. And we're going to have some great regional finals coming up this Friday night.
Yeah, we were a really good game on Friday with Carroll beating Snyder to win the 6A Sectional 2 championship. They move on to regionals. And really the field, we start to dwindle down when you get to the regional round, but locally in our area, we still have 7 teams playing in 6 games this Friday, including one game that features 2 teams. So we're guaranteed a local team moving on to the semi-state round and a week from Friday. So very exciting, really good games, really solid performances across all of the classes. We were at Carroll, like we mentioned, but, we think of Huntington North winning their first sectional title since 1993. East Noble continues to barnstorm their schedule. Garrett, still undefeated, still impressive. Bishop Luers moving up a class, but taking on the big boys, knocking off and upsetting Mississinawa team in exciting fashion. Adams Central continues to do what they do. And South Adams, really maybe the flying under the radar team of the postseason in our area. A couple upsets and a couple come from behind victories to get to the regional round. This time of year, it's November. You want to still be playing, and we got some really good teams who still are.
Well, how about Bart Ball upsetting the number one ranked team in Concord, which is just a county over in Casiaso County? Bart Ball gets himself a sectional champion, first time in a number of years, I know that. But at the same time, they get to go play the regionals against Lafayette Jeff coming up this Friday night. But I tell you, let's get into what we here to do tonight. We got a couple of guests with us, Will Jefferies from Carroll and Cam Ruble, the fullback extraordinaire from Garrett. But want to talk to this young man from Carroll High School because all of a sudden he's been thrust into the limelight a little bit as their running back. And I know that he's up against some time constraints, so we don't want to keep him too long. But Will Jefferies from Carroll High School. Will, thanks for joining us here this evening, and we'll get you in and out so you can get back to work and the boss won't be too mad at us.
That's perfect. Yeah, no, I got plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congrats on the sectional championship, Will. You guys beating Snyder on Friday night to win a sectional championship. An exciting atmosphere out there at Carroll. We were all there. An intense game as expected, and this rivalry continues to heat up. You guys come away with the sectional championship, a big game for you and the rest of the Chargers. Just what that was like Friday night, doing it out at Gorsuch Athletic Complex in front of the home fans and getting the big victory over Snyder.
I mean, it was just great. I mean, Snyder's a great ball team, and just going out, having it be a close game, and it's hard to beat a good team twice. And so just to pull away and make it to regionals, it's great.
Sure. The second time around, what was it? I mean, what did you guys apply? I mean, a big part of it, I think, has to be you being added to the running game in the last couple of weeks. 375 yards in 3 games so far. 374, 124 per game, 5 touchdowns, all within the last 3 weeks. That added wrinkle. Where did that kind of come all about? Is that something that you guys have been sitting on most of the season? Talk me through that without giving too much away of the playbook, but just the conversations that as you as a senior, adding you into the mix on the offensive side of the ball.
It really just started with our running back Nate Starks. He went down with an injury, and Coach Dinan he came to me. He was like, "Who's the guy that we know that could run the ball?" And so I learned the plays, and not to give away too much, but just learning the plays, and I got put back there. And shout out to my O line and my blockers, and it's been good. It's been going good.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I noticed on Friday night. And what a really good running back does is he makes his offensive lineman right. And I think that you have been able to do that, as well as Starksy and all of those running backs that you have, Green as well. But you run the ball very hard. And I think that extra effort has added a little bit of punch to your offense so that it's not always put on Jimmy Sullivan's shoulder to be the running back as well. But talk about, the fact that you guys were able to win ball games, not at 100% strength with Jimmy and his situation. And now that you get a chance to head on over to Crown Point to take on a team that's undefeated, what do you think it's going to take again this week to get yourself in a position to get a road win in the regionals, which is never an easy task?
Yeah, that's so true. But we just have to be firing on all cylinders, offense, defense, and special teams. I was watching film earlier, and they do this weird field goal PAT lineup. So our special teams is a very important part of the game. Offensively, we got to be able to take care of the ball, run it, establish the run game, but also be able to just pass the ball and have Jimmy do what he does, Jimmy football.
The other thing that, I thought was a pretty good testament for where you guys have started the year at on the defensive side of the football. You took on a pretty powerful Fishers team early in the season. That's a dominant team. And we had that ball game. And that game, you could see the physicality difference. But that from that point forward, your defense has really stuck out in the terms of what you guys have been able to, become as a cohesive unit. Talk about that, because that's the side of the ball where you guys lost a lot of players that you defensively, you came into this year a little bit short on terms of that senior leadership. But talk a little bit about kind of the defensive unit and how that has ultimately become a defense now that's pretty stingy.
I'm so proud of our defense and just be able to lead with the guys. Those first two games, I mean, we gave up a lot of points, but ever since then, starting with Southside, but the really establishing point was the second half of Center Grove. And we actually didn't get to play the second half of Center Grove because it got rained out. But that's where, in the locker room, we all got to come together. And then it really kicked in during Dwenger, and the defense has just been playing so well, and just so proud of my guys.
Yeah, we're seeing some clips here, I think, is some of your highlight clips as the year went on. And I think the one thing too in the playoffs that's valuable, really important is what you talked about earlier. Special teams was number one, but of course, getting takeaways just like that one there, I mean, is a very important facet of the championship games that everyone has now from here until to the state. So talk about the ability you guys to get some takeaways this year.
I mean, that's a crucial part of our game. I mean, coaches always talk about it. We need two takeaways. I mean, I don't know the percentage he uses, but if you get two takeaways in a game, it's so much better, and we can set up our offense for a great drive. And so just kind of like punching the ball out. That's been a really big goal of mine. I learned that from Jorge Valdez a couple of years ago. He's been a big role model for me, but just coming in on the tackle and just making sure your fist lands on the ball.
Well, what do you got planned moving forward after the season's done? And are you looking to go to school, play football? What is your, kind of the objective that you're looking to accomplish once the season's over?
Once the season's over, I've been kind of just trying to figure out if I do want to play college ball or not. And I I got like 5 offers right now, but really only one that I've been looking into has been Wabash. I just did a try-in visit the other day, but Wabash has been it's been a good place. Shout out to CJ Ramsey. He's been trying to recruit me. Really nice guy. But all men's college, kind of far, but go play some ball up there or down there.
Yeah, it's a very tradition rich program, absolutely. And if you have the passion and want to go on and continue playing, it's like I tell guys all the time. There will be a spot for you somewhere, whether that's, getting scholarship money or having the opportunity to go at a small liberal arts school to go play football. There's opportunities out there for you. And if you have a passion to do that, then by all means, I think you should do it. But I want to thank you for joining us here this evening. And we wish the Chargers the best of luck heading up to Crown Point this Friday night. And one thing that people want to make sure of is checking the start time of that game. And understand that I believe Crown Point is an hour behind us. So understand that there are some time differentials involved this week versus Carroll and Crown Point. Will, best of luck on the rest of the way. We'll get you again down here in the semi-state and maybe finish up Turkey weekend down at the Dome and seeing you guys chase another state title.
There we go. Yeah. Hey, tell Cam Ruble I say hi. We've been friends for a while.
Okay.
All right.
He's up next. We will send you pass on the message.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Will Jefferies from Carroll High School, running back, linebacker.
Thanks to his employer for joining us. It looked like he was in the parking lot. We won't divulge where he works because you don't
want to get him in trouble.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, great kid, fantastic player, and has really come on, coach. In the last couple of weeks, we showed it. He's added to the offensive side of the ball for Carroll, and wow, the difference he's made. 19 attempts, 114 yards, and a touchdown against Snyder on Friday. Kind of slammed the door shut there late in the fourth quarter, and on the defensive side of the ball, 13 tackles, 2 pass deflections. We saw some of the clips. He had several interceptions, an interception, I think, earlier in the year against Snyder. So, yeah, it's been a big year for him, big year for Carroll again, SAC champs, moving on now to sectional championship. And the feather in the cap on top of it, to beat Snyder to win that sectional championship. We've talked about how that rivalry has been developing, Kurt Tittman at Snyder, Doug Dinan at Carroll, 2 coaches that have been through the Snyder assistant system now, branching out 15 or 16 years at both of their schools. And they collide now as Snyder has moved up to 6A. And what a tremendous game that was. Of course, we mentioned it, Jimmy Sullivan, not 100%, kind of showed a little bit, but got the job done. Brandon Logan, unable to play with a lower leg injury. We wish him the best as his high school career is now over, and he heads to Notre Dame for football and baseball. And a lot of seasons ended on Friday, but a lot of keep going. And that's what you want, is you have to add those wrinkles in. And, he mentioned it. Doug Dinan went to that group and said, all right, who do we got that wants to pick up the banner and run the ball? And Will Jefferies.
Well, I think Doug was kind of saying that a little bit tongue in cheek when he went to Jefferies, because he knew it was going to be Jefferies. I can hear you that. I mean, that was just a little tongue in cheek question that he posed to him. But one thing that Will does, he runs hard, and he's stocky. I mean, Nate Starks is a kid that's not overly built, in terms of stocking and stuff, but Nate is very quick and has a lot of speed. But there are times where you got to bang it up in there, and that's what Will gives you, and especially earning the hard yards. And nobody knows that better than our next guest from Garrett High School. The running back extraordinaire, Mr. Cam Ruble, Mr. Jefferies said to say hello to you. So, I mean, divulge the friendship there.
Yeah, I've known him since we were pretty much toddlers. He's a great kid and even better athlete. So,
now don't sell yourself short. You're a big, strong guy. So, did you used to live in close to where he lives now, or where was that growing up?
Pretty sure we were born at the same hospital. So,
oh my goodness,
there you go.
Our mothers went to the same school. So,
holy cow. That's
Very cool.
crazy.
And now
That
you
is
guys are
very
both
cool.
tearing it up for your respective teams at regional. Well, congrats to you and Garrett, 12-0, sectional champs. Boy, did it come down to the wire there in Ligonier to beat West Noble on Friday. But just talk about this season, this team, what you guys have been able to put together top to bottom. We saw it a few weeks ago when you guys had Lakeland in the sectional opener, and we were all impressed. I mean, what is it about this team in the last couple of years, the momentum from last year, that you guys have been able to swing it this way and really the march towards your own deep state run, if you will, trying to get down there?
Well, I mean, it's a big difference going from 6-6 to 12-0. My team definitely worked hard in the off season, and they hit the weights. You could tell like the speed and strength difference from last year, and on top of that, they're just a lot smarter this year. And I gotta give credit to my line for the offense. Like you see us get big numbers like on like the skill side, but I gotta give credit to the offensive line because they're doing their job right now.
Sure. Talk about we see the different playmakers that you guys have. I mean, it is the stock. You're the stocky running back, but you also have Calder Hefty, a quarterback, and can get the job done. We've seen Selke be able to mix it up a lot, and both sides of the ball, as you guys are a smaller 3A school, a lot of two-way players. Just talk about that and the momentum that you guys have had, the work that went into the off season to go from that 6-16 with the winning streak at the end of the year to come back all this way and to continue, what that looks like in the summertime before people are really even paying attention up at Garrett High School.
Well, we had added a few people to our offensive thing, like Alex Guzman, that running back. He's pretty quick. He's done a lot this season, and we started running our quarterback more, Calder Hefty. He's great, and it's just nice when you have multiple threats, not just me getting 30 carries a game, but just spreading out the ball and just giving a defense a hard time.
Well, talk about this game on Friday night, because I just was looking at some of the box scores in this ball game, and it seems that you guys only allowed 32 offensive snaps for West Noble. Is that, I mean, did you guys really limit them to that amount of offense, or I guess you call it limiting their offense? Only 32 actual snaps offensively. Is that, and then you said that is true. Wow. That's pretty crazy. And I know that there were some fumbles recovered in this ball game, but it was a tight game from start to finish. I mean, 21-20. So talk about the game a little bit and how it all kind of transpired and such. I know Hefty had a big game as well.
Yeah. West Noble is definitely a solid team. Definitely one of the toughest teams I've ever played. Really physical. That game was just, I mean, that was a bizarre feeling, just being that close with a tough team. And I mean, talking about 32 snaps, I mean, we ate up the clock. Like the whole entire quarter was like one drive. I mean, that's kind of how offense works, but it really worked like this game. It took a long time for us to get down the field. It was hard-earned yards, just straight downhill run.
But like you said, that is the philosophical approach that Coach Depew has implemented there with you guys, is having an offense that can, like you said, chew up clock, utilize all four downs if necessary, and, just kind of move it down the field in an incremental way. I mean, you guys finished the day with 306 yards, 262 on the ground, and 8 of 17 on third downs. And, that was a pretty good game for you guys up there, and that's not an easy place to go play. Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's a hard school to go play at, and especially with the fans they have, because they've had some good teams. But you guys really executed what you needed to do on both sides of the ball, because your defense also played really well. Talk about the defense of this ball game as well.
I mean, yeah, I don't play any defense, but just watching them on the sideline, it's like they're just just giving me relief and just thinking I can go back out there right away and just put points on the board. They're definitely the most hard hitting team I've been on. So,
well, when we had you guys, that was one thing that I thought, you guys were a complete team. I know you beat Adams Central at the beginning of the season. Everybody was like, well, it's first game. That was kind of a fluke and so forth and so on. But when we had you guys against Lakeland a couple weeks ago, you guys have a legit defense. Dude, I think you probably have some of the statistics for them and what they're giving up on the year, but it's kind of crazy what their defense has done all season.
Yeah, real quick. 37 points on offense, 14.7 on defense all year. I pulled up John Harrell there. But, I mean, if you look at – and I'm trying to make it where the screen fits both ways here. But
it's all right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And yeah, I'll get it here. But yeah, basically, some of the games, I mean, really solid performances across the board. And really with West Noble, if you look at it, I mean, that 17-6 game, I think I can get it here. And let me do this. The 17-6 game, I'm going to do this right now, is, you guys held Seth Pruitt to 39 yards. And then the sectional game, they hold him to 15. And so, I mean, the dynamic of playing a team twice, we hear that it's hard to beat a team twice. I mean, obviously the emphasis is going to be, you got to stop Seth Pruitt. I mean, what in particular is it like in practice when you've got somebody like him lining up on the other, and again, you don't play defense, but you're of that same build, that same mentality. They're trying to stop you too. The playing a team twice in the season, a conference foe for a sectional championship, the mentality the second time around, just talk about that a little bit.
I could definitely say that we definitely wanted it more the second time around. And we wanted nothing else but to just beat that team again, because I mean, we did not like that team at all.
Let's keep it clean, Cam. Let's keep it clean.
Well, they're like our conference rivals, I would say.
I know.
They're a hard team to beat, and we just want nothing more to just put them in the ground.
Yeah. Well, and that's, what you were able to do. It came down to some, I think, a missed extra point at the end as they were driving. But, yeah, I mean, just what you guys have been able to do. Now, Knox is up next. Knox is a perennial team, really good program. They're sitting at 9-3, averaging 41.6 points a game. And just, I think have had a lot of success in the tournament in the last couple of years. Regional champs a year ago, actually back-to-back, 3 straight sectional titles now.
Yeah.
They haven't added the 2024 one to the stats I got in front of me, but 3 straight sectionals. This team, another ground and pound type of game at Knox. They're coming into town to Garrett. Just talk about the preparations for them, and when you branch out and face teams that you're not used to playing, just talk a little bit about that.
Hey, Cam, just a second. This is what I pulled up on Knox so you can talk to. They have a rushing offense that's averaged over 4,000 yards this season. And so this is going to be a classic game of offenses banging on each other because of what two averages. Quarterback, 2,400 yards rushing, and a running back that has 1,500. So now you can talk about them.
But I definitely know that they got some athletes, number 2 and number 5 for sure. And going into this game, we like playing other teams. We definitely have a better game plan. We definitely focus down and watch all the film we do, and our coaches definitely make a good scheme for the game leading up to these games. And he knows that this team's good, and we have to have a good game and have good practice this week.
Absolutely. Just to put it into perspective, 4,200 rushing yards, 356 passing yards on the season. They average 382 yards a game. So the average per rushing game is more than. So yeah, it'll be quite the running game affair. But for you too, I mean, you guys have looked solid on defense, but the offensive side of the ball, you guys are going to bring it too. And, that mix, I mean, talk about the development of this team with Coach Depew and kind of turning the tides there. I know you get a lot of times with these smaller schools like a Garrett, a 3A school, and some of the other ones. You guys have been together a long time. How far back does it go with this group and kind of looking to accomplish something like this?
As a kid, we definitely thought we were the team that were going to do something special. I've been playing with these kids since, probably since second grade. I know Calder played since he was about 4 years old, so we've been playing for quite a while together. And the chemistry is unreal. We definitely play as a team.
Well, yeah, and what a team effort it's been. You guys have looked impressive all year. You guys were probably the only people that knew that you guys were legit when you beat Adams Central, by the way, because we thought, Adams Central is going to have a bad year. They lost to Garrett. Boy, did we underestimate exactly in week 1, but you guys have put it on all year long and looked impressive. And we wish you the best going forward as you guys continue your march through the postseason. Up next for you guys, like we mentioned, you guys will host the regional on Friday night as Knox comes to town in Class 3A, and it should be a good one there. We wish you guys the best of luck. An exciting atmosphere up there in Railroader country, and we'll be looking forward to seeing how that game turns out on Friday night. Thanks so much for joining us, Cam.
Yep, thank you.
All right. That was Cam Ruble, the running back, fullback, the bulldozer, the caboose. I think sometime and we say that in a good way, because the caboose of the train there that out of the backfield. But wow, I mean, impressive all the way around what this team has been able to do. They've got playmakers all over the field, and really, like I said, they're a 3A school, but the talent they have and the guys that they have, I mean, wow. And if they present different things that other 3A schools don't do. And I think that's part of the success that they do. The defense is very strong. They've got that big offensive line and the powerful running game. But like he mentioned, you throw Calder Hefty in that mix, a dual threat quarterback. Wow, this team is gangbusters, and they're sitting at 12-0, a top 5 team, and first sectional title since 2016.
Yeah, and Hefty reminds me a little bit like Biddle. He's a guy that plays both sides of the ball, very instinctive, fiery, and, good leader out there. And then, of course, Cam, what can you say? He's been a very good running back, and for what they want to do, get the tough yards. He can get the tough yards for you as well. And an offense that we've come to appreciate over the years, because it's very similar to what Adams Central has ran, and they do it very well, as does Garrett. So this will be a great matchup of two similar type of teams that like to run the football up Friday night up at Garrett. And so that's a 7:30 start. So just a FYI, because of Knox's travel, that will be a 7:30 start there in Garrett. But yeah, Ruble is, one of those guys that he's got 1,300 yards on the year, as we see here. And, averaging 108 some odd yards a game. And it's just fun to watch a team execute at a high level with an offense that not everybody runs, and it's maybe not overly sophisticated, but the fact is that type of offense takes great discipline for a team to execute on, and it takes a great amount of repetition as well. So, hats off to Garrett and Coach Depew. And I think, if I remember correctly, Doot, this team last year, didn't they also win a sectional?
Yeah, they won. Yeah, Knox won back to back.
But Garrett won last year as well, right? A sectional champion.
They got to the sectional title.
Okay,
game.
I can't remember. I know that we had Coach Depew on because they kind of had made this miraculous run. They were kind of about a 500 team, kind of what South Adams has done. And I think I remember.
So last year, the story with Garrett was that they upset Heritage in the semis. So Heritage was having their best season.
Right. Exactly.
We were looking at, I don't know, probably what was it like? It wound up being Delta in the sectional championship, but Garrett was, they went on this late season run, won like 4 games down the stretch before the playoffs, and then get into the sectional championship, upset Heritage. And so we had Chris Depew, the head coach, on at the time. And so you think about it, I mean, they finished the year 6-6. They won, I don't know, 5 of their last 6 games or something like that. And then now they've added 12 to it. So, I mean, you're looking at
18 straight, I think it was.
Yeah, it's one of those teams. Yeah. So they won their last 3, then they lost the sectional. So there's 3 there plus the extra 12. So 16 of their last 16 for Garrett. I mean, that's impressive. And what they've been able to do, they get over the hump and get that sectional title. And that was a team that started 0-2, 2-2, 2-4. So they started 2-4, then kind of go on that run and get some momentum late in the year and upset Heritage, and then they roll that into this year. Because they lost to Adams Central 42-8 last year. And so script. And so, like I said, we were teasing Cam about it, but opening weekend, they're playing Adams Central and they beat them 20-7. And it's kind of like, well, Adams Central graduated a lot and that's true, but we've seen what Adams Central's been able to do. Another regional team, another sectional championship for them.
Yeah, they've won everything. They've won every game
in typical Adams Central fashion. So this is like he mentioned. They've seen this. This was going to be the team, and so they're back at it, and they get the sectional title. This is what is now their 5th sectional title in the history of Garrett High School, and I mentioned it. A program, their first year, 1904 is when Garrett started football. They've played over 1,000 career games, and now just their 5th sectional title. So it still goes to show this day and age, Coach. I think we talk about, the meaning of sectionals and the meaning of postseason, and we've seen a lot of changes, particularly in basketball. People get blue in the face talking about that. But for those small communities that have been there a long time. You look at a place like Garrett, 1904, they've survived consolidation of schools. They're still around, 1,000 games, 5th sectional title all time. They won state in 1974. They celebrated the 50th anniversary of that team earlier this year. They did win the regional in 2016 and 2003. So they've found some success. It's one of those every 20-year type of mentalities, deals. 74, 94, 03, 16, and now 2024. But I think it just goes to show the power of these programs and what they mean to the community.
Yeah. And when you look at this game that they got coming up against Knox, Russ Radke's in his 5th year there. He's a former Griffith football player. For his father or his dad, I believe, 42-20. So you're going to see that same type of offense, maybe more true wishbone-ish type of game, triple option type of stuff. But so you're going to see 2 dynamic offenses in this game. They've defeated Mishawaka Marion, which is no easy task, 12-0. The Sagarin ratings at this point in time, Garrett is a 78.6 to Knox is 69.87. So almost a pretty close to 11-point differential there. So it will be interesting. No meetings at all before these 2 teams. Knox opponent records. Listen to this. Knox's opponent's record 76-56. Garrett opponent records are 72-59.
Wow.
You could not find more evenly matched teams if you looked up and down the board. So this one's setting up for a nail biter at Garrett. And, who knows, maybe we'll be heading back to the rail yard for one more game, as that being the Midwest Box Break game of the week potentially, but we will find out when that is all announced, as we are going to see what happens here over the next few days. But yeah, just a great 2 teams on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's going to be a fun game. Russ Radke, 48 seasons all time, 413
That's right.
wins.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got that messed up. I was thinking of his
He was
boy.
the coach. Yeah.
He was the head coach at Griffith, and I know Russ very well, and I based that with his son because his son played quarterback for him. So that was a while ago.
Yeah, they
so
won state in 97 at Griffith.
Yeah.
They got to semi-state 2014. So he's got several at New Prairie. He was also the New Prairie coach. So Griffith, New Prairie, and now Knox. And so
he's been around for a year. So they run more of the triple option. They're a triple option team. And
that takes you back to 94. I mean, 48 years. That's what, 76 that Russ Radke's been a head coach since 1976.
God bless him.
I mean, you think of the changing times that we see in sports, and it's a tough gig to be a coach. I had a SAC athletic director tell me one time recently, if I can just get a soccer coach to stick around for 3 years, I'm happy. Because it is all sports. It's so demanding the time. And when you're a younger coach, and look, I got a family now. I get it. It's just like when you're young and single and just out of college and getting a job and getting a little bit of money and all that stuff. It's like, okay, cool. This isn't so crazy. And then, the families come along and everything just becomes so demanding. And you're a former coach yourself. I'm not telling anything you don't know. And the son of a coach and the father of a kid who played Big Ten football. So I think it's pretty interesting there, but that should be a fun one. And those are the storylines that we get to see because of the teams having success in the regionals and moving on. And so that's one of the big games that should be on the radar this week. And another big game, Coach, I think, as we kind of start to talk through some of these sectionals,
games,
regionals, I should say. Right here in our own backyard, two local teams in Class 4A and Sectional 19 champion East Noble faces Sectional 20 champion Huntington North in a 4A regional. And wow, I mean, two NE8 teams coming out and now playing each other. And Huntington North, okay, maybe they're the story of it because first time since 93 that they've won a sectional title. And boy, the numbers that they're putting up to do it, Coach.
Yeah, and they went on the road to Lebanon this past week and won in overtime. And that is no easy feat because they were down late in that ball game 28-21. So they must have scored late in that fourth quarter to get it to OT and then win it by kicking a field goal in overtime. So what a job Coach Usbach's done. This team has won, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. Mm-hmm. And looks like 7 of their last 8. Yeah, 7 of their last 8. So you're talking a team that's on a pretty good run. And, they played Leo tough. That was one of their losses in that stretch. But, they've benefited by playing in the conference that they do because the teams that are in there. And it's going to be one of those games that'll be interesting to see the outcome of this one. Now, I'm trying to think, did they play East Noble this year? Yeah, they played them in week 2, it looks like, or 3, I should say. It was a 28-16 ball game. So it wasn't a game that, East Noble ran away with it. So it's got a chance to be a really good game. And when you're playing a team that's won 5 in a row, there's a lot of confidence with them that comes with that as well. And we had the quarterback on a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Becker, yeah,
and he's done pretty well as going throughout the year. And, never doubt Eschbach because he always does pretty well in terms of scheming up opponents and things of that nature. The hard thing there is going to be able to, can they get some productive, their offense be productive against a defense that's really good and East Noble? And then how do they contain Carroll and Biddle and I mean, you can just go down the line. So this game, I think it's going to be better than what maybe people think, but it should be a dandy of a ball game in my mind.
Yeah, and shout out to Johan von Sandersleven. He's the kicker for Huntington North, who kicked.
Is he a German transfer? He has to be a transfer.
I don't know his story. Super, I follow Super Sam had, our friend Sam Frick, who does a lot of great coverage of teams, especially to the north of Fort Wayne, and with a lot of the NE8 teams, and Huntington North is one of those conference teams. But he was talking about it, how the big name in
name
this week, the big man on campus, Johan. So great for him, and just the ability for Huntington North to pull out that victory, because they had been winning big as of late. They had been putting the score, lighting up the scoreboard, and to come down to that defensive battle, to getting turnovers, and to keeping that game close. A big fourth down stop for them. They got, in that fourth quarter to stop Lebanon from driving, and then the ability to get it, to stop them, get the kick, get the overtime, and then their defense stopping Lebanon in overtime, and then you get the benefit of just having to kick a field goal to win. You run the ball 3 times, center it up, and kick it right through the uprights. Right, Coach? The easiest thing in the world.
Easiest thing in the world. If you watch Purdue Saturday, they missed 2 bunnies of the field goal. So
we won't go too far down. But now we know why they didn't go for 2 in those 2 over, or they went for 2 instead of kicking extra points of field goals. I think it's probably something's happening at practice where the kids not making them either. But anyway, we'll talk for the Purdue shows that are on the 13 the fan dial. But so that's going to be a fun one. And I think Huntington North is improved a lot since then. East Noble continues to roll. We know what it is. Hard to beat a team twice. This is in Kendallville, and I think number 2 East Noble is certainly going to be the favorite, but this is a great year for Huntington North, and what Mike Eschbach has been able to come in and do, and a lot of great players there starting something new and filling that brand new stadium up that's been open for 2 years, because we saw them 2 years ago. We had the opportunity to go up there in their first season when they played Norwell, and it was really tough. And,
is it at East Noble?
It's at East Noble. Yeah.
Wow. So Huntington North has to travel back-to-back weeks. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they said, and I don't have all the rules in front of me, but
East Noble hasn't had a home game yet because they've been on the road for 2 straight weeks.
Yeah. So
I think it's crazy how these things.
Let me double check that real quick.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, they will host. Yeah. So I think the way it works is, they tried. I don't know, something about the number of the sectional. If it's an odd number when it hosts or something like that. So we don't have to get too far in the weeds. All I know is that the IHSA has put out that Huntington North is at East Noble in that one, and another one. So, and then how about Bishop Luers, Coach? I mean, wow, another, they get a big win. I kind of called that the upset special of the week on the Sports Rush with Brett Rump last Thursday. But Luers, I mean, here they are moving up to 3A and knocking off a Mississinawa team.
Undefeated Mississinawa team.
Huh?
An undefeated Mississinawa team.
Number 1 defense, one of the top offenses. And
I don't know. Are they ranked number 1?
Luers went in there and now they had to hold on in the end with some defensive side of things, but that first half offense, 21-7, like 21 points on that team in the first half. I mean, there again, you get that shell shock mentality. But for Luers, it's that time of year again. They play teams, playing the Fort Wayne schools, the Indy schools. This just goes into show again. It is very tough, and Luers is a hard team to beat, even now in Class 3A.
Well, and the fact that Mississinawa had to come to Luers, and Luers is one of those teams that plays well at home. But you take a Mississinawa team that has a artificial surface, and now you put them on a natural grass surface, and they haven't maybe played in that on something like that for a while, it makes a difference. It does have a tendency to make a difference because, now you're not sure of your planning and things of that nature in terms of making cuts. But again, we know what Coach Lindsay has done with lures. He always gets the best out of them because he always finds ways to accentuate what they do well. And, he made a quarterback change. Was that a week ago or 2 weeks? But, he made that change. And now they're in a position that it'd be really cool because the semi-state could ultimately be Garrett versus Lures.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess that would be at Lures.
Yeah.
If that happens, but that's just a pure guess. No knowledge of one thing or the other. We're just trying to read the tea leaves here a little bit.
If Lures wins, they host no matter what, according to the future pairings that, I said, John Harrell's got posted. So it would be Garrett at Lures or Knox at Lures. And then Garrett's on the road no matter what.
Right. But I would love to see Garrett and Lures. That would be a heck of a game right in town. I'm not sure where Mechanicawa is on all this. They beat a West Lafayette team, and that's usually a pretty good ball club that they beat. So
first sectional title for Mechanicawa. So and they're again statistically one of the tops in the state. I think
they're not that far from here.
They're in Bunker Hill, Indiana, not far from the Grissom Air Force Base in
they're North Miami. County. Yeah, they're over there by North Miami.
Yeah. So,
but they're undefeated.
Yeah, their defense is better than Mississinawa statistically. Now Mississinawa was eliminated and they gave up 35 to Lures. So Mechanicawa has given up. They're 12-0, 6.5 points per game, 41 offense.
5 shutouts. Mechanicawa has pitched 5 shutouts this year. Shortridge, Whitco, Peru, and Wabash, as well as Peru again in the sectionals.
Yeah.
And they gave up.
See how that matches up, because there again, the conversation automatically turns into, okay, how does a 77-0 victory over Wabash translate to Bishop Lures 8-0 victory, loss to Dwenger, or 25-14 versus Homestead? The 3-point loss to Leo, that's the thing about Lures is they've been, it's just so crazy because we talk about it. We know it's coming. It's like, here comes the postseason. Here comes Lures. And these other teams, they've just never seen anything like it. And I think that's what happened with Mississinawa. And now they go to Mechanicawa, who, history-wise, it's the same person in history, by the way. The Francis Slocum was part of that too. But anyway, I digress. But
first year head coach.
But I think state champions a year ago is Lures, and they're back at it. And I think now 28 sectionals all time, which is tied for 4th with Dwenger. So Dwenger and Lures 28 sectionals. Snyder still sitting at, I think it's 29. That's 3rd all time, and then Carmel and Cathedral are above them. So, and then Mississinawa was last week. Mechanicawa won sectional title last week. There's their first. So they also don't have that experience. How much does that count for? So it should be a good one. I like Lures again. I just do. And like I said, from a statistical standpoint, 71 plays Lures ran on offense.
Mm-hmm.
The Mississinawa stats aren't in there, but looking at it, Jace White, 141 yards, a touchdown, 11 for 19 there, 119 rushing yards from D. Hogue. Daniel Arnold, a junior, 5 carries, 9 yards, 2 touchdowns. Have you ever heard of Daniel Arnold before? With all due respect, no. But at the end of the day, here's a kid who gets his moment and 183 yards on the ground. And I do say that with all due respect. He's a junior. He scored 2 touchdowns in the sectional championship to help Lures win. So he's known now, and I think that's an important part of what we saw. So 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 through the air. And I'm not seeing now. They did fumble the ball 4 times, did Lures. So the turnovers, they got to have to hold on to that football. I mean, that's what it amounts to, because it's a 34-28 win for Lures. They had that in hand at halftime at 21-7. And they gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter to let Mississippi really come back. So,
wow.
But that Mississippi's a good team, and at the end they're trying to push to stay in it and batten down the hatches. So so that should be a big one on Friday night. We're looking forward to that one. And then moving on, Coach, into Class 2A, we have Adams Central hosting. So another local regional game. They're hosting the Eastern Comets out of Greentown, Indiana, which is in Howard County near Kokomo. So they're making the trek. So a lot of these teams coming in from East Central Indiana, and Adams Central, I mean, just like the ACAC, postseason has become the Adams Central semi-state. I mean, really, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost like a broken record when we're talking about them, because they just keep doing what they normally do, and I don't think anyone takes that for granted, including Adams Central and their faithful. Greentown, I mean, this is a team that I think has traditionally been a really good ball club. And it'll be one of those games that Adams Central should win because they got them at home.
Yeah. So Josh Edwards, their coach here, 18 years at Eastern, 96 and 92. He also, before that, coached at Tri Central, and he's eclipsed 100 wins. Eastern, interestingly enough, because they play in that Heartland Conference, some of those teams, Carroll, Delphi, Clinton Prairies, Clinton Central, some of the smaller schools that are really good. Sheridan, another one with Bud Wright, their longtime coach there at 60 seasons. This is the first sectional title for Eastern too. So, and they were in the sectional championship a year ago against Bluffton. So Bluffton beat them. So they're again, they get in those tough sectionals in Class 2A, Tipton, Eastbrook, Alexandria, some of those teams that we hear lapel pop up from time to time. So I think that's been the for Eastern, some of the trouble is that they just play really good teams based off of their geography in the sectional. And now they move on to regional at 8-4 to play Adams Central that has just, keeps rolling. And so I think Adams Central wins comfortably, keeps rolling. But Eastern squeaked by with a 28-24 win over Rochester, and then upended Tipton 21-15. So close games to get here for East Side, or Eastern, Greentown Eastern, and out of Howard County. And I think it's a whole nother challenge with Adams Central lying ahead for them. Yeah,
it's all right, and they'll be fine. But the big one, I think, is what North Miami and South Adams do. That's a game that is an interesting game because North Miami's had a really good year. They're 10-2, but they do travel to South Adams, and South Adams has found ways to win this year, and probably played a little tougher schedule. So don't discount the Starfires against North Miami at 10-2 on Friday night.
Yeah, 4 straight wins for the Starfires. And the points totals 58 versus Southern Wells, 51 in the sectional opener over Union City, 43-32 comeback win over Tri, and then upsetting number 4 Madison Grant, 43-36 in the sectional championship. Titus Lehman, their quarterback there, 4 touchdowns on Friday night. Now they play North Miami. 10-2 on the year, and 7 straight for them. There again, the opponents. So North Miami moved conferences this year, Coach. They were in the old TRC. Now they're in the Hoosier North Conference. But, I mean, some of their out-of-conference games, Fremont, Blackhawk Christian, so some of these teams that Northfield, not the strongest schedule for North Miami, but nevertheless sitting at 10-2. Another team out of Miami County. So I think realistically, if we're counting things up, Knox is, I think, Stark, but
no, it's only McConaughey and North Miami in that county.
Yeah, you're right.
The biggest thing that I want to talk about here before we finish up, is this Carroll game that they have at Crown Point. You're talking about two coaches that are well versed in their upbringing. Crown Point's head coach is Craig, I think it's Booza, and 32 years overall, 255 and 96, and Doug as 15th year overall, which is, I can't believe that, but he's 119 and 51. So two coaching staffs that have known how to win, and they've done it over time. And, Crown Point is one of those teams, man. I tell you, they've played some really good teams up north, and their defense has been very, very stingy. They shut out Penn. They shut out Portage in the first two rounds of the sectional, so they have yet to be scored on. It's crazy, but this other team that's, they played Michigan City, which is never too bad. Valpo is a team that they beat, which is a team that is never really, when you talk about history, Lake Central's another team up there. Maryville, another team that they've beaten. So this Crown Point team is for real that Carroll's going to have to face Friday, and they're going to have to find ways to get points on the board, but ultimately keep Crown Point out of them, because they're averaging about 35 points or so in the tourney thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 2, Crown Point. Number 1 statistically in offense at 41.9 and defense against in Class 6A at 7.6.
Crazy.
And third overall behind McConaughey and Mississippi. So we are seeing some heavy hitters on the defensive side. I think it's going to take a monumental effort for Carroll, but I think what we saw out of them on Friday was the ability to find new ways to win with Will Jefferies. We talked to him earlier on here on Upon Further Review, but just so many good players. But, I think with Jimmy, the hand, and look, it's not the throwing hand for Jimmy, but at the end of the day, you could tell, like, it's just when you have a cast on your hand. Yeah,
he's a little cautious.
He's banged up, and so it's going to take a mighty effort from them. And I think Crown Point made it to state a year ago. They're the semi-state champions in Class 6A, so they got a lot of good players as well, I'm sure. And so I think for Carroll, just continue to play who you're doing, and now you got to make the trip up to Crown Point. You're not playing any of the Hamilton County schools, so it's a different challenge, but I think you go into it with a different mindset of, we've never played this team before, so who knows? So, and this is where the rubber hits the road on the scheduling at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, if they would happen to get a big win, they would play the winner between Westfield and Fishers. So it's a pretty good bottom half in this regional. Fishers beat Hamilton Southeastern. That's the team that I mistakenly identified with Will, was Hamilton Southeastern, played Carroll earlier in the year, week 1. Yep. So, yeah, we got some games here that are going to be interesting, and we'll look forward to it. We're going to, right now we'll have to wait and see where we're going to be. So keep your ears in tune for all the games, and the game that we will be at this coming Friday night. A lot of good games in the area. And if you got some time, get out to a ball game, because there are going to be a lot of good ones. Well, Doot, that's going to do it for us here this evening. Thanks to those that joined us on 1380 The Fan 100.9 FM. For Eric Dukevich, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith. We'll see you next week here at Upon Further Review.